The year was 2011, and it seemed as though the call for suicide intervention was at an all-time high. People were calling, texting, and inboxing me regarding their concern about the end of times about to happen on December 12th, 2012. It was during this time that we realized we had a community of teachers, healers, coaches, and spiritual guides that could support teaching people how to ground themselves spiritually. Masterforce, along with the Masterforce International Leadership Academy, is excited to be able to steadily present this work to you at no cost to you. However, all of our speakers donate their time, energy, and attention to this process, and they only do this at the thought of contributing to the upliftment and empowerment of our community. When we launched our very first Ignite Your Soul Connection for the winter solstice of 2012, the producer was Leela Woodward and the facilitator was Janice Bond. As the executive producer, my role was to create the topics, round up speakers for 15 nights, generate the questions, and design the platform. We were all delighted with the outcome. However, since that time, we have continued to produce these episodes at the winter and summer solstice inside of a 6-night discussion segment. You can find these previous episodes on YouTube under the same name, Ignite Your Soul Connection. Now sit back and enjoy tonight's discussion.
Thank you. Thank you. Welcome to day 5. Day 5 of Ignite Your Soul Connection. This is the winter solstice. I'm thinking of summer, but it really is the winter solstice. And we are in Chicago in the middle of an amazing storm, just in time for Christmas. But that's okay. We are delighted that we have the opportunity to be with you, to actually talk to you. And if you've been with us, we started on Sunday night and we have been talking about home as a haven. And our intention is that everyone that listened was able to gain information that made a difference for you and your family, and especially your children. So tonight we continue with another amazing topic called Chakras Open to Life. Now, many of you may not have heard of chakras, or you've heard of it in a mystical type way. Our work is to demystify that topic and give you some information that will help you to gain insight and how to use this for your self-care as well as the care of your children. All right? So now we will continue, and I'd like to bring in our speakers. The first person I'd like to introduce you to is our executive life coach, Teresa Lugo, coming to us from where? Puerto Rico. And I'm sure she has some warm and sunshine for us. Hey, Teresa.
Hi, Mood. So good to see you. I missed you.
Oh man, it'd be nice if I was over there, but how that is, right?
I know, girl. I'm mad at you at all. I'm mad. I'm not mad at all.
Yes. And then of course Mother Mecca. Mother Mecca, how are you? You're
I'm well. How are you?
you're in this cold part of the Midwest, right?
Yeah, I love it. I love the season changes. I cannot be somewhere where it's always the same.
Yes. So before we get into our topic, Teresa, why don't you tell people a little bit about yourself and what had you become a Master Force Life Coach, and then a little bit about the work that you currently do.
So I think I was thrown into this work when my father had passed. It was a very shifting time for me, and I was blessed to have met you, and you introduced me to the work, and I really appreciated that because it really helped me to get out of darkness that I felt after the death of my dad, which happens to a lot of us. And from that point, I just ran with it. I continued to study. And I think I've taken every course that you've offered, and it's helped me in every area of my life. And I'm grateful for that. And currently, I continue coaching. I coach women into their greatness. I also coach parents with their teens. That's very dear to my heart. I always feel like empowering children is really my calling, or empowering parents to empower their children, actually. And currently I'm also a Reiki master. That was the last thing that I did that really catapulted me into really stepping into this work in a very more enlightened way, which I really appreciate that. And then currently I'm here in Puerto Rico doing nonprofit work. I started Land and Heart Project to assist the farmers. So I'm very happy to be in that position and working with my people. I'm so proud to be here. And basically that's about it. And what was the last thing you asked? Was there something else?
No, that was it. You did good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for
Okay.
taking time to be here. And I know that you've been on a few of our other Ignite Your Soul connections. And it's always good that, to have recurring presence, right? So thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Mother Mecca, how are you? Go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us what had you become a Master Force life coach, and then also, what your current work is. I'm going to unmute you. Hold on.
Okay, so again, my name is Mecca, and I met the card Papa Kiana online, and I was just telling her about all the experiences that I was having, because I guess spiritually I was awakening more and understanding what was going on. So she suggested that I take the life coach class with Master Force, and of course I hopped right on it. It was a very, very beautiful experience because, like I said, I was transitioning, I was transforming into who I am right now. And so I did that, and I graduated last year, right on my birthday. My certificate, which is so wonderful, January 15th, says January 15th, and that was my birthday. So I say graduated. I finished the class at that time. And since then, it's just been blessing after blessing for me with my life coaching and just all the experiences that I've had from that point on.
Wonderful. And you and I have had opportunity to just hang out and do some things. So, it's really great to have new coaches come in, because it's like I get a whole nother set of energy. So it's really been great getting to know you over this past year too. So thank you. Thank you
Thank
for coming
you.
into the fold. Yes. So before we start into the questions, I kind of want people to get an idea of the mysticism of chakras. So before you started studying, learning about chakras, when you heard people mention that, what was it that came to mind for you?
I could add to that. For me, being a Christian, Catholic, all the above, it was really hard for me at first because I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it, and I didn't probably want to understand it. I kind of had my judgment around it. And I think judgment is what clouds us all, right? So I stepped into it because it was a class that I was taking and I needed to open my heart to receive. And I prayed about it. I was like, okay, Lord, I need you to show me. Is this something that I need to study? Is it something that, so as I started to study it, I studied the origins of it, that it started in India, like in 1500 BC. And I was like, wow, that's intense, and it's so spiritual. And it's actually what's inside of our bodies. It's not something made up. And then I started to,
Well, I want to keep with the mysticism. I want to keep with because it's you hit it right on the head when you were talking about the Christian, and we were taught that You don't go over there and look at that other stuff. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Becca.
I have a story. Because when this COVID thing started, right? And
Yes.
they wanted to shoot here and I said, don't do that. I'm at school. And I said, don't test the children's temperature here. And so it was a European, of course, and she was like, why would you say that? And I said, because that's a gland. She said, there's no glands there.
Oh,
And I said, yeah, she literally, and she's a science teacher. And I said, that's fine if that's what you believe. I said, but that's the pineal gland, the third eye. She was like, no, there's no glands there. And I said, that's fine. Don't shoot the kids right there. And I told the students, I said, let them take your temperature here, and so we, we were taught, we're not taught about those things. We just only what they teach us. And so I know that also that is a Hindu term. So I like to say energy glands more than chakras
yeah.
because that's their religious term. And so, what do they call it where we take somebody else's information and then we use it and we make money off of it. And so that's what's happening now. It's like the big term, it's a big word now for people. But
Well,
it's still mythical for a lot of people because they do not believe or they'll get scared. Like, so I try to do, as a Reiki master, I call my services energy rubs. And so people still don't want to come to me because they also see me online talking about chakras and things like that. So some Christian people or some of my, family members, they don't come to me because they say, oh, we don't want you doing all that stuff to us. I'm like, I don't have to do that. That's by permission.
yeah.
I don't have to try to align you.
Right. Very cool. So then let's go ahead and talk about what are chakras. What are chakras? Go ahead. You were already going to define it. So let's give the definition so that people can understand it.
Okay, so it's a like Sanskrit,
Sanskrit. Sanskrit.
yeah, and it's like a wheel. When you think about it, if you can think about it, it's like a wheel, and so it refers to energy points in our body, and the points are thought to be spinning discs of energy that should stay open and aligned, and they correspond to like bundles of nerves in our systems, major organs and areas of our energetic body that affect us emotionally and physically, and it affects our emotional and physical well-being.
What would you add to that, Teresa?
Um, Basically the same thing. It's the harmonious flow of our yin and yang. It's it's who we are inside. It's like if we were to take us and turn us inside out, you would see the alignment of the chakras. You would see, the root, you would see the sacral, you would see the solar, you would see the heart and the throat and the third eye and the crown. You would see it because it's a part of who we are. And once it's unbalanced, we feel it. We feel weaker. We go into depression. We feel insecure. We feel, the disease that is coming upon our bodies. But yet, when we are aware of it and we are caring for it and nurturing it, then we feel brighter and we feel confident. We feel powerful. Nothing about life changed. We're still being beat up and challenged and, all that comes with life. But we're feeling powerful because we're balanced in those energy fields.
Yeah. So how would people then locate? How do people, so and again, I know that you guys are practitioners, but for the person who has never, heard this conversation, we want to keep it as simple as possible. How would a person who have never heard about chakras, how would they locate? How would they even know that they need to locate that energy system?
Well, first of all, they have to be doing a work with a practitioner that understands it. That's what I feel. And there's so many charts that you can find. Even the five below sells a really nice book and it's very self-explanatory, but they're located in our astral in our bodies. So it's along the spine, and it starts at the base and it runs upwards to our crown. And I don't want to get deeper, but we actually have some that's above our bodies too.
Absolutely.
And we also have minor chakras that's in our hands and our feet, And so it's the energy body that's residing inside our physical body. So that's where they are. And each physical body part has a corresponding astral body part, if that makes sense. So it's really like, I really believe people, because people will come to me, they're all in it. They're like, I want you to open my third eye. And I'm like, I can't do that. We have to balance your body first. We have to start at your root chakra, because if you're opening just that, I feel like when you do that, it's going to be painful, because now your third eye is seeing all these things that you got that's so unbalanced in you. And so now we got to start from here, and a lot of emotions and things are going to come up. There's some people that there's some people that actually break it down from age, like 1 to 7 is your root chakra, things like that. Mm-hmm. And so it's you have to make sure that you're with a practitioner that totally understands it.
Cool. What would you add to that, Teresa?
I feel like I've had experiences that just by standing in the sun and allowing that light to come in has been like life altering in just that moment. Mm-hmm. I think God bless you. I think that if we're positioned to learn it, to be able to open up to receive it, and it's just like Reiki, same thing. It's like you have to be open to receive the energy, then things start to move in your body and you actually start to feel it. Just like meditation, many people have not meditated in their life. And as soon as they start, something in their body shifts, and their spirit shifts, and their mind shifts. So there's all these connections that happen that's been waiting for you to breathe into it, actually. Mm-hmm. It's been waiting for you to breathe into that energy, and then that energy is created. I think that the third eye is definitely something that is a sacred spot, and it's something that a practitioner can definitely talk you through and work with you on that. I also feel by working with certain clients, they weren't ready for that experience. And it did create some unbalance in other parts of their bodies. So I think that you have to be ready for the whole package. It just doesn't come, you can do 6 of them and not the 7th, or they're the other smaller chakras. But certainly I think just being open to it, being open to 5 minutes of chakra clearing you can do yourself in the morning.
But we got plenty of time to get to that.
We got plenty of time. I get excited.
I know, right? So let's actually talk about why is it important to balance our energy centers? Why is that important for us to even consider taking on? You can keep going, Teresa.
Oh, okay. I think it's the most important thing that we have to do in our lives, actually, because it's like, how do I say? It's like having a car, right? You buy a car and you love your car, you're having a great time. Years pass, you never did an oil change, and all of a sudden your car broke down. And it's like, wait a minute, I just got this car. Yeah, it's 3 years old, but you never did an oil change and the engine locked up, So it doesn't matter how young or old the car is, it's the fact that you didn't maintain it. And that's our bodies. Our energy fields they're just like babies, that they need to be nurtured by us. They need to be acknowledged, especially when we are going through trauma, we lose a family member, stuff like that, that happens to us. And all of a sudden, we just completely shut down. Or a woman that goes through a divorce and she doesn't want nothing to do with men and just shuts down her sacral, her root chakra. So, I mean, those are areas that if they're not tended to can create dis-ease, your fibroids, your cancer, your cysts. So yeah, it's very important to be attended to. Very, very important. I wish the doctors, medicinal doctors, would actually uh, introduce this to their patients, so that they can understand the importance of it.
Well, most doctors don't treat patients from the standpoint of their spiritual systems or the meridians the way that traditional Chinese medicine does, which is why we tend to do more in Chinese medicine, Indian medicine, because we do know that the spiritual body is just as important as the physical body. What were you
Yeah.
going to add, Mother Mecca?
Yeah, I was gonna say that, and I was at a presentation by a nurse practitioner, and I asked her, is she able to do that as a doctor? And she said that they have to use the medications that they're told to use. They could suggest Reiki. Now, in her and where she lives, they can suggest Reiki, but after they suggest that, they also have to try to give them that medication. So they don't want to do that. And I feel like understanding this and teaching it to younger children, I feel like that's where I'm being led to, because then they can understand that through meditation, through these different things, through breathing, we can make sure that we keep this aligned, and that we can and that we and that and it naturally can heal us. Having these systems in place, having our energy um, aligned and working for us, it actually naturally can heal us. It actually makes us feel so much better mentally.
Yeah,
And
I think that really, and I've said this more than one time, that the challenge that people are dealing with when they're talking about mental illness is
yeah,
really a spiritual imbalance.
Yeah.
yes,
It's just a spiritual imbalance. And like Teresa said, teaching your children how to breathe so that they can balance themselves in a crisis, and many adults don't know that they can balance themselves in a crisis.
Mhm.
And if they don't know how to use that basic technique, then they're always just right responding to stuff.
yeah. So my daughter, being a social worker, she said it's hard for her to do it with her child, because you're emotionally connected. But she teaches him regulate. She say regulate your emotions. Stop yell, talk about it. Don't cry. You have to speak for me to know. And so it's really good. And then she said, come on, because mommy's upset. So breathe with me. So she doesn't even put it off on him sometimes. She say, can you help mommy breathe?
Mhm.
Breathe with me. And then they breathe in and out. And it's just so wonderful to see him at 3,
Wow.
doing those practices.
Yeah, I remember when my grandson, he had to be about, my eldest grandson, about 18 months old, and he was throwing a temper tantrum, and I told him to lay down on the floor and just breathe. And then my son told him, move into the mummy pose. And that became his discipline over time. Like
Oh
whenever that
wow.
was out, it was like, okay, mummy pose. You don't get to throw tantrums, you don't get to yell. And then after that, the other form of discipline was downward facing dog or downward facing wall. Tonight I was talking to him, and he had my 9-year-old granddaughter doing push-ups. So his form of discipline is teaching them how to move into their body to maintain that energy instead of acting out and instead of him physically using his hand or something else to hit them. And I think that's very, because I grew up where, you said the wrong thing, you were pop, slap, kick, something was done to you on the physical side before you had a chance to regulate yourself.
Yeah, I just had an experience, believe in July, my cousin passed, and it was so unexpected. It was so, so sad. And I went to the burial, and I just happened to be right there when it was happening. And I don't know, just watching the mother and that moment when they're lowering this casket, I just lost it. And I was just, I just had like an attack of just crying, and it was so bad that my head started going boom, 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 and I got really scared. I mean, that moment I even stopped myself, and I just started breathing. Get back in your breath. 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 I mean, that pain.
That's how people actually make themselves have heart attacks. And
Yes.
their blood pressure rises, and then they think it's
Yes.
something that's happening to them when actually they're actually causing it.
Yes.
Yeah, and people be like, "You are so calm. Like, why? How do you stay calm?" And I feel like even when someone's angry and then I remain calm, it's because to me it's like adding fuel. If someone is already upset and then you come back to them upset, that's adding fuel to a fire. So
Mhm.
as a classroom teacher, I would say, like to the other children, I'm like, and they like, how did you do that? So I keep all of them calm while that one student is just
Acting out.
furious.
Hmm.
And so it's like, and I would tell them because it's adding fuel. It's like putting, some ignition on the fire when all you have to do is kind of bring it down, because now this person is like, okay, I'm shouting and this person is calm. So it's kind of like controlling the situation. When I see blood, I'm like, you're bleeding, and if it's because you're going to be more afraid, and your body, when you get so afraid, it just starts to shut down.
Well, it tenses up. It
Yes.
constricts. Yeah, it constricts. Absolutely. So breathing, that's why our first course is what? Our first
Breathe
lesson,
to center.
breathe to center. That's
Breathe to
right.
center.
You have to breathe to center, and you are taught that, and you're asked to do that as a way of regulating your energy and teaching your clients to do that as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's very good. All right, so now we want to spend some time on each one of these chakras, so that people can get an understanding of the endocrine system that's connecting to them, the glandular system, and knowing how they can, first of all, activate them and then charge them.
Mm.
And we always start at the root. We never start at the top, right? We
Mhm.
always start at the root chakra. So where is the root chakra actually located, Teresa Lugo?
Oh,
Hmm. I I
I,
always say the root chakra. What do you have to say, Mecca?
I'm so sorry.
It's
I
okay.
wondered, I wondered how you two would.
That's okay, because you know what? She's probably going to say it better than me, because I say it's down where your pubic bone is. So, what would you say it is, Mecca? Is that what
I,
you would say?
I agree to what you're saying. And I always tell them, like, from the back, it's like the lower spine by your anus.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So we're both on the same page.
Yep.
And,
And it's
Yes.
and
that,
it's
and
local. You can stimulate it with in the perineum area by
yes,
squeezing and unsqueezing your
Yes.
yes.
buttocks. Yeah. Hmm.
And the
Yes. Yes.
adrenal, adrenal. See, I'm not the science girl at all.
But you can
Yeah.
also, when you do that, that same mechanism that you use to stop and start your urine, like when something happens, you have to stop using the bathroom. You're squeezing that perineum muscle.
And so Kegels too, right?
Miss
with
Kegels
the
too. Yep, it's
hmm
inside of
Yeah.
that same area. Absolutely. So what is it about? Tell us some of the attributes of the root chakra.
Feeling rooted, grounded, feeling powerful, um, fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Um, what do you think, Micah?
having your basic needs taken care of. It makes you feel that your basic needs are taken care of, all of your basic needs.
Mm-hmm.
Rooted, very rooted in
Mm-hmm.
your truth and who you are.
And most of the time in our community, we don't realize that our children are disrupted at the root chakra. You want to speak to
hmm
that a little bit, Mecca? What disrupts our children at the root chakra?
Well, first of all, children need to know that they're safe. And so when that's a part of the time where sometimes we don't know if we're safe. And then our living situations, if our parents are at home, the parents are arguing, or the mom is out of the home, the older sister is taking care of the children and things like that, that can have us at an imbalance. And so we don't even, because we don't know, or we were not even taught about that, we're not understanding. And so, and I know children don't have to worry about these things, but sometimes their lights are cut off, just different things like that. So those basic needs that they should be receiving from their parents, that's not being taken care of. And so that's why they have problems with the root chakra.
And
Yeah.
you know, I'm so glad you spoke to that because a lot of times in our community we don't stop and make sure our children get an understanding of what has just happened, because things are going to happen. We just pass it on, we just keep going, and you're a child, you don't need to know, when actually grounding them back to center, hearing what made them upset, hearing how they felt about what happened. I saw a video the other day where a little boy came home from school. He got off the bus, and both parents' cars were gone because they were in the car shop at the same time. So he's ringing the bell. So the bus driver's waiting for him to go in. He's ringing the bell, and you see him begin to panic.
Wow.
He's like, oh no, my parents aren't here. They left me. Oh no, and you can feel his anxiety rising. And sometimes we have to remember what it's like to be a child and to be scared.
Yes. Yeah.
And then when the father came to the door, immediate relief. But see, you still needed to have a conversation to say to that child, you're safe. It's okay. This is what happened. The cars, you're in the shop. I don't know what happened after that. But we as parents and elders and aunties and all that, we really want to add a higher level of communication to ground our children in their safety. Go ahead, Mother Makeup.
Well, and generationally, we have to break those things. Well, you a child, just go sit down.
Mm-hmm.
And so talking in communication with, children, because some people will say, girl, you constantly talk to him. And I said, well, one, that's why he speaks well. And then two, that's why he understands. Because and this is so funny. Like, he wanted to watch Pokemon. So Pokemon came on the TV, and he asked his mom. He asked me. He said, "Granny, who was that?" I said, "I don't know." So he accepted that Granny didn't know. He asked his mom. He said, "What character is that?" And she didn't know, and he literally fell out. And Maya was so upset. And I said, Mitchell, get up. I said, come here. I said, do you want Granny to Google it? So he looked and he said, yeah. I said, so we Googled it. And I said, listen, when someone doesn't know, I said, now ask them to Google it. Right. And so then he went into play, and I said, Maya, he was really upset because he thinks you know everything. So he thinks his mommy knows everything. I
Most
said, so
children thinks parents are their actually parent parents, mothers are the gods to their
Yes.
children.
Because even when he's watching something on TV, he said, "Oh, I'm gonna ask my mama to buy me that for Christmas." So I said, "Well, what about dad?" He said, "Oh, we play the game." That in his mind, he like, "Oh, we play the game. That doesn't go for the PlayStation." He's like, "I have everything I need for that, but I'm gonna ask mommy to buy me that."
Wow.
And so they don't really teach him about, they teach him about Santa, but he knows that Santa comes to the house, but his gifts comes from his parents too. And so when my uncle asked him, he said, "Did you ask Santa to bring you that?" He said, no, but I asked my mom. So I was letting her know that he fell out because he couldn't communicate like, "Mom, you're supposed to know everything." And so that goes back to saying, having those conversations and making him feel, that, to understand that, hey, let's get grounded. Ask the question, can you Google that for me? Because I don't know, we don't know the answer in this house.
Yeah.
So something as simple as that can set a kid off to, fall out.
So then let's talk about what grounds the root chakra. So what are the colors? So we the thing about that's so amazing about the chakras is that they are what? The color of the rainbow.
Yes, red.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So I suggest like eating, well, and it's not me suggest, but from the things that I've been doing in my practice, and learning that, you do foods, you actually you wear the colors. You definitely, you eat like strawberries, different things that's red, because it really does help, because you're seeing that color. You can do meditations too, that's already on YouTube. It's very easy. Exercises. There's exercises to help. Well, we did all of that. You taught us that, Moot.
I know, right? What would you
Right,
add,
Teresa?
Lugo, Teresa?
Well, I also believe in the stones, the crystals. I
Yeah.
believe in the red jasper, the black tourmaline, the fire agatite, carrying those stones with you. When I do Reiki, I place the stones in those different chakra to balance the client. I also wanted to add to what you were saying a minute ago about the children and the root chakra. It also goes into even the adults, right? So even in relationships, women, how we shut the man down, like, you don't know nothing, you need to be quiet. I'm the woman of the house. I run this show. Before you know it, his root chakra is gone. He's gone. He's exited. So it's not only in children, it's in adults. It's human beings, right? Human beings. Even teens, like when I'm with the clients and the mom and the child, it's unbelievable how the mom will shut the child down, and the child is 14 or 16 years old, and yet he's desiring to be heard, and she's like, "Well, I'm the mom. I'm paying for this session, and this is how we're going to do this." And it's really sad actually to see that, because I've actually got fired by one woman because I told her this. I can't work with you anymore because you're not open to the process of allowing your child to be heard, which is not good for this child's.
Well, it's actually dangerous. It's actually dangerous to shut down a teenage male because the testosterone is already revving. And they have to know how to balance themselves. And if they're already bumping up against their mother, imagine if they're not learning from her how to have a relationship. That means when he has a girlfriend, he takes that anger out on her.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and I was going to say also, I ask parents for permission, just like at the doctor's office. If when they're 13, they can go in that room without you legally and talk to that doctor. So when they get in 14 and 15, I ask the parent if I can speak to them alone.
Yeah, well, that's traditionally how we do it, but there are parents, and I've had this challenge as well, where they feel as though they want to have the authority. They don't want you to influence their child more than what they do. And that parent themselves is the one that needs to be having sessions, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
That's
it's you kind of like you have to weigh it and actually work to balance it out, because really we notice in psychology and psychiatry that a lot of times when parents are bringing children because they're the problem, it's really the parent that's the problem,
yeah,
and they're taking it out on the child, and the child is just reacting to the parent's treatment
yeah.
of
And you know what? I saw a session one time on television with a therapist, and she was with a family that and the parents had gone through a divorce, and these kids were like 35, 25, 28. There was three kids, parents, and they were doing a session, and I couldn't believe the tears that these adults were having about the fact that the parents divorced like 20 years earlier. And I was like, wow, wow. I was shocked because I didn't think that they would have those feelings. And yet the psychologist that was with them was saying that a person, a human being, that's their their foundation is taken from under their feet. The foundation is the parents, the foundation of their parents. So when the parents are taken or broken, they lose it. And somehow they're not heard. Somehow they're never healed because they're just supposed to understand that the parents just didn't work out. And that whole hour I was sitting there, wow. I mean, I opened my ear to hear like, wow, I never thought that. And then one time my son brought that up to me. He says, Mom, he was like 16 and he was mad at me. And he said, Mom, I don't know why you and my dad left each other. I mean, did you ever think about me? And I was like, wow, I never thought like that. No, I didn't think like that. It just didn't work out. And so I sat with him, we talked about it, but it's like these feelings are always going to be with the person.
well, the feelings don't have to always be there. Once they start identifying that, because most of the time they stay there because they're repressed, right? And
Ah,
they haven't identified that this is what's bothering me, and we don't realize that life is not here to do us a favor and give us everything that we want, and everything is perfect and rosy. When I meet people and they have such amazing lives, I know that they did a lot of work in their past life. And they've got to this point because they've learned a lot of hard lessons. And you can tell that why, because they're compassionate, they're thoughtful, they're philanthropic, they're considerate. But people who actually think that, oh, I got hurt as a child and that means I'm going to always be hurt, they're missing the opportunity to trust that that's teaching you something. Find out what that lesson is.
Yes,
yeah.
yeah, totally agree.
That
It's
shadow
usually,
work.
it usually happens in relationships. It's usually when they place themselves in a relationship with a partner, and
Yeah.
those things come up, and they expect
Oh,
the
yeah.
partner
That's right.
to be there and to be patient with them. And that's why they say, you're blessed when you find somebody that can help you unpack your spiritual suitcase, and
Yes.
you know that's our hope, but you have to do your own work sometimes.
So then
Yeah,
we said that some of the things that we could do to bring balance is to wear the colors of the root chakra, which are red, to eat the foods, to drink. You all did not say beet juice. I was waiting for it.
Oh, I love beet juice.
I do
I was saying,
too.
I said strawberries, but I
Yeah,
wanted Teresa to talk, so I didn't go into all the foods.
I know
But I
some
love
people
beet
be
juice.
like, and that's a root vegetable. Root.
Yes,
right.
that's very important. You're
Very
right.
important.
Wow.
So being, taking in certain foods, that's why we have to have a variety of
Yeah,
things.
yeah,
It's not just the same. But yeah, and during the solstice, it's a good time to check in with your chakras, because the
Yes.
energy of the universe is so
Yeah.
still,
Mhm.
on the northern hemisphere, we're
Yeah.
still, right? So
Yeah.
we can
Yeah.
align ourselves so much easier during this time. But in order to do that, you have to stop the stimulation. You have to turn off the television, come inside, and fast or detox, whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
Definitely detox. That's my
Yeah.
thing.
Definitely.
So now let's go. So the root chakra we said was at the base of our spine. We can touch it with our perineum by squeezing our buttocks and doing our kegels and stopping our urine. So what's next? The sacral chakra.
So
Where
the
is
sage,
the sacral chakra located?
it's like in the groin area, and related to emotion, sexuality, and creativity. It's said to correspond also with ovaries, and it produces the various sex hormones involved in reproduction,
Mhm.
and it can cause like dramatic mood change.
Yeah, and I like to tell people it's like two to three fingers below your navel,
Yeah.
and we refer to it in other traditions as the dantian, the
Mm,
pleasure center.
yes.
And it's one of those places that I used to love when Icha would say, breathe into your shundo. That's the shundo, the dantian, deeply into the groin area. Breathing in there is where you can activate your sacral chakra, right?
Yes.
So, Teresa, what are some of the things when people are imbalanced in the sacral chakra? What are some of the things that we see?
Lack of confidence, guilt, shame, um, not in touch with their femininity.
Mm.
Um, let's see, what else? Um,
What would you add, Mecca?
not
I was
sexual at all. Let me just say that.
Not sexual at
Not
all.
sexual at all.
Low libido, low
I was going to talk
libido.
about when you know that it's healthy. So I guess you could, it's basically where because Teresa really did wonderful with saying when we know it's in imbalance, but when it's a healthy alignment, that's the source of energy, because it'll help your creative system, some movement, procreation, desires. That's what she was saying, you're not motivated and things like that, pleasure. And then your relationships, that some people think that relationships are only about like your partner, but you should be able to have relationships and understand relationships from different points of view. And so you will be able to freely express yourself, your wants and your needs in these relationships. And then your pleasure also will be top priority
Yeah.
when
I
it is aligned.
say that again, Teresa. Who was that? Say?
I was just going to say it's also where your creative is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I said.
your creative
It's so
center.
important to have our creative side tapped into, which
Mm,
is where your mental, your emotional, and your spiritual all meet,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and most of us don't tap into our creative side until we retire. We
Wow.
spend our lives running after that money, making all those bills, doing what we got to do to make everything and everybody else happy. Finally, we retire and we start to do what? Paint. We start to create things. You start working out, and all of a sudden you feel so much better. There are people that say that actually to me. They're like, you look younger now than you were when you used to work, in those days. And they're right, because when you finally find that balance of that mental, emotional, spiritual that come together, you just feel a peace within yourself, and it just really grounds you.
Mm-hmm.
That sensuality, which is something that I work on now. I mean, I realized when I came to Puerto Rico and I started doing all the work here with the nonprofit and da da da. One day I think my sister told me, Elena, she was like, T, why don't you ever like to fix your hair or put some makeup on or something? And you know what? I'll be honest with you, she was right. Honestly, I had really lost all desires for a long time to do that. And now I feel like I put more attention to that. And that's nurturing the feminine, and the emotional side and the mental side and the physical side of myself. So I think that all of that is the sacral.
Yes.
What
Yeah.
I discovered last year was that also the hips
Yes.
are ruled by the sacral chakra.
Yes.
And
And I was gonna say that color is orange. And so some things that that color is orange. And so of course we're gonna eat our oranges. We're gonna wear, so that's what you do. You channel that in, and you looking for the exercises that help that. So if you're doing anything, that will be like the core exercises.
well, the
Because
other thing about that though is that the hips actually hold the seat of your pain as a woman,
woo,
because that is the area of childbirth for us.
yes,
Men and women have different hips shapes, right? Because
wow,
men don't bear children. So women that have been molested, that have been raped, that have had discomfortable sex, that cannot be orgasmic, they tend to have hip issues as they get older because they haven't released the memory. Remember, we said you have to release the memory of that pain. So some of the work is identifying that there was a issue. Most of the time we want to act like, oh, I'm cool, I'm good. But like Mecca said, that shadow is there, and the shadow is not a bad thing because it gives you access to a greater understanding of yourself.
Yes.
It gives
I love
you
that.
that whole view of you. So you become more
Yes.
powerful.
Yes. Yes.
yes,
Yes.
I agree.
Yes. I love it. It says, I got a saying for you on that.
Yeah.
When the ego weeps for what it has lost, the spirit rejoices for what it has found.
Yes. Yep.
That's right on point.
Yep.
That's
Yep.
right on point. Because you know what? Honestly, I've learned at this point in our lives, you have to go through something to get to the other side.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. People think,
Yeah.
oh wow, you're
And when you're in abusive relationships also,
Oh,
that it really shuts down your sacral chakra because you're not
yes.
safe in that relationship. And then you feel some when you're in these relationships and you're giving of yourself and you're giving, that's why it's like, and I know, and I say this all the time, if I don't like a man, or if I'm feeling, I mean, I could feel anything, I cannot have sexual activity with him because I'm like, what's the purpose? It's like I literally get turned off quickly. And so I'm not going to um put myself into that pain or into, shutting that area down because I want to please you, but I'm not happy in these other areas. So you have to really protect that. And I feel like as far as like energy, we have to protect ourselves from negative energy and things like that other people can bring, because that's actually entering our bodies, and so we don't even think about it that way. So you have to, and so you have to actually cleanse yourself by not even having sexual activities. You just got to stop, and you got to take care of that root chakra, take care of the sacral chakra. You got to keep going up. And so while you're doing that, part of the cleanse is not having sex and getting to know your womb. So even when I think about me having a partial hysterectomy, so someone told me, but your womb still feels like it's there. Just because the uterus is out, you still have to take care of that. And so that brought me back into reality, like, wait a minute. Okay, that's why I have that imbalance, because I'm thinking like, oh, it's gone, but you still have to do womb care and things like that, even though you may have lost it in a medical procedure. It's still, your body is still knowing that
Oh
it's still
yeah.
there.
It's still a memory there. People tell you all
Yeah,
the time, you cut off the leg, they still feel it.
Yeah.
yeah,
The energy
That's
yeah.
is
why
still there.
that's why many people also have big stomachs, you know.
Mm. So that
Golden.
goes up to
Wait, no, say more about that. Why do they have big
okay.
stomachs?
just holding all of those memories there, all that pain there, men with their mothers, women, and their divorces, and all of that pain just sits there. And it's not even food, it's emotions. And that's why Reiki is so important, that you move that energy, go to someone to move that energy.
Or do it, or learn how to do it yourself, because really, Teresa, that's a very, when you said that, who I thought about, Louise Hay.
Yes,
Because Louise Hay says that anytime you're dealing with fat on your person, it's because you're protecting yourself emotionally.
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was going to say, even if you rub yourself,
Yeah.
Reiki is something else, but if you rub yourself, if you go into that area and just rub on yourself in that area and just release, just think about
And
those
even
things.
tapping, that's what they teach.
Yes,
Tapping,
tapping is really wonderful.
EFT.
Qigong,
I I was thinking about that. We've been doing Reiki on ourselves since we didn't even know, because like think
Come
about
on.
when you hit your leg when you were a kid, you
You
grab right
grab
in that
right there.
area. You touch yourself in that area. And sometimes, I've always been a person like, the pain is gone. Don't go into the pain. Your foot is not hurting. And I don't know why I would do that. Or like if I scrape my knee, I would like press on the sides of where I scraped it. And my brothers will always laugh at me. Why are you doing that? I'm like, but I literally was healing my own self. But when you said, Teresa, when you said about having it in the stomach, I'm like, oh, we're moving right up to the solar plexus, because that when that is weak, we're not strengthening like our digestive system and things like that. So the solar plexus, that chakra is yellow, and it strengthens the digestive system and the diaphragm. So when the solar plexus, it focuses on the power and the autonomy of metabolism. And so the element for the solar plexus is fire. And that's like really what I'm into right now. So it helps, with that, it helps moderate that body temperature and food digestion. So all of those things, so that you like flipped us right into, it's just so amazing how, if you think about we start at the root chakra. That's all of our needs. That's us, and then we take care of that. And then we say, okay, now because I feel whole, I'm ready to have sex. I'm ready to be creative. I'm ready to do all these things. And now I'm moving up a little bit higher. So I can make sure that I'm taking care of myself. I'm eating healthy, and I'm doing those things to help balance as it goes up.
Yes, and I wanted to add, Mecca, what you said earlier about people having sex with many partners and the energies that coming into their bodies and they don't even realize it. And something came to me when you were saying that. Of course, we've heard that before. Many people have heard that, right? It's not like an aha moment. However, they don't believe it, because if they believe it, they wouldn't keep doing it. That's one thing. But what I want to say is, that is a conversation a parent should have with their child. Instead of saying, no, you shouldn't be having sex till you get married, and all the stuff that we create and how it's not good for you and all this other stuff, actually talking about what that act is.
And how much energy it actually causes you, and how much exchange it actually causes you. And you just have to be really, really honest with yourself and honest with people, because like I say, to me, sex is emotional. So emotional is sex, and so you can't do one without the other. Well, for me, one without the other. And so then, we play these games with people, and we play these, or you say, oh, it doesn't matter, we're just friends, and things like that. But it becomes an emotional part. So you want that connection. And so you want all of it. So you just got to really, really be transparent, and you have to be really, really authentic. And it does start with parents, because it's a lot of generations don't talk you didn't talk about sex. That was it. Don't have sex until you're married, or you're in church, so Christians don't have sex. And you never go into right? And you never go into it. And then you have pregnancy. And then it's like, oh, you're not going to embarrass me, get an abortion, you
Yeah.
know, things like that. And so is the
And
conversation.
thus the pain and the destruction of
Yes,
the sacral chakra,
yes,
and I know we need to move into the solar plexus.
yes, we did.
But the thing is, too, I want people to hear more about what it takes to balance the sacral chakra,
Okay.
and really get clear that that's our creative center,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's blocked,
Mm,
usually you don't have orgasms. Your
mm-hmm.
libido is low there too, and there's a tendency to hold weight around, like Teresa said, around the belly.
Yeah.
So what would people need to do to heal their sacral chakra? And you mentioned oranges. What else? What else?
I would do a something with that. I feel more they need a lot of meditation, and they definitely need, because you can, like, of course you know that, but you can watch videos to do exercises, to do meditations, um and this is where a lot of shadow work come in, and I feel like a lot of journaling
Mm-hmm.
and nature. You have to go out in nature because that's who we are. Nature helps us. If you look, I feel like the birds and the bees, as they say, and all of our animals on the outside of us, they're balanced. They understand what to do to
Yep.
procreate and things like that. So when you go out and you watch them, and you sit out there with nature, you definitely know, and you begin to understand what you need to balance.
Mm-hmm. What would
Yeah.
you add, Lugo, Teresa?
I love chanting
Mm,
of um, those things that make the noise, the bowls, the music with
The
the bowl.
singing
the
bowls. Yeah.
singing bowls, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Any kind of energetic thing that you can use that just triggers that area to receive
Mm-hmm.
and to release.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's all about releasing. It really is. Because we tend to hold a lot there. So it's really about releasing and allowing yourself to have childlike fun.
Yeah.
Like go and sit on a
Yeah.
swing and swing forward and backwards. Like allow yourself to just feel what it feels like to be a child and laugh and have fun. I think that that's something that we tend to forget. And it's so much fun. We did that when you came out here, Moot.
Yeah.
Remember in 2014, I think. It's the first thing we did. We jumped down the swings and back and forth. I hadn't done that probably in 30 years prior
I
to that.
I I, I can't pass a playground without getting on a swing.
That's
Yeah,
When
wonderful.
I'm with my
I
grandchildren, we get on a swing, right? So
yeah,
Yeah, so
yeah,
we also can add essential oils,
yeah,
and definitely crystals. This time you didn't say crystals, so there are
yeah.
certain crystals, and then supplementing our diets more than, because we have to start eating healthier. We have to start eating, so and always doing a cleanse. It is okay. You want to do cleanses, definitely, with the season changes every 3 to 4 months.
mhm.
But so supplementing our diets and eating those things, it's so easy to Google, like, what can I eat to balance this, or
My sacral
to
chakra.
help that.
So I want to add, because I've been working with a few people. One of the funnest things you could do, and I think, Teresa, when you were here visiting me, single women tend to not thrust. You know what I'm saying? So you get your
Uh-huh.
exercise ball and
Yeah.
thrust, move your hips,
Yes.
Yes,
and also dance,
yes,
Yes.
because the hula hoop, all of
Yes.
that releases that energy in your sacral
Mm,
chakra. We tend to
very
think,
good.
oh, if I'm not in relationship, that part of my area doesn't need tending to. Oh, yes, it does.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, definitely, definitely.
Get you a little bed companion device. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes,
Make
yes.
sure
I
that
don't like
you,
those.
yeah, but
Whatever you need to do to release.
Because you are a significant part of the planet. Everybody's energy on this planet is needed.
Yeah.
We have to raise it up. That's why we are always saying raise your vibration. And
Yes.
part of healing your chakras is raising your vibration.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
And there was a woman that was giving in Chicago. I loved her to pieces. She was a heavyset woman too. And I was so, wow, I walked in this class and I'm like, I didn't expect to see her like that. But I will say this. She gave the best sensuality class.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was getting myself into. I paid $35 to go, and I was like watching this woman, and my mouth was on the floor. She did this amazing
Yeah.
sensuality dance, and she was just like, and then when she was done, she was like, okay, I want each one of you guys to get up and do it. Just a minute. Everybody freaked out. And she was like, close your eyes. And I did that, and it just it awoken something in me.
Yes.
We women, and we can probably stay in this chakra for the next hour.
Yeah.
Because we women do not tap into this chakra enough.
Enough. That's right.
And
That's,
a lot of us have been hurt
yeah.
in this area. More than any other area of our chakras, I think the sacral has been the one that's been the most hurt.
The most damaged. That's right.
The most damaged. And it's the one that needs the most nurturing.
That's right.
And at one point, we have to allow ourselves to nurture that. And I think that for me, I gave myself permission after my children were gone. Then I started to nurture myself and nurture that area.
I'm starting the sacred womb, the sacred, the sacred womb book. And so I'm
with Queen of Four, yes.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that with a couple girlfriends. And
yes, I love her work. We've been using her work for many, many years.
That's wonderful.
Actually, when we did the Soul Sister Fest with Akua Osset, we brought her here. I believe that was 2010.
Okay.
I remember that picture.
Yeah. Okay, so now let's go into the solar plexus because our producer is saying, need to move. Okay, so the solar plexus, you were starting to mention it, Mecca.
That's in our, that strengthens it. It'll help strengthen our digestive system and diaphragm. So I had brought that up because she was talking about our gut and things like that. That's really good health. And then the solar plexus focuses on the power, the autonomy of, it's like our metabolism and things like that. So and I think that's how you feel like that's that the sacral chakra is below the belly button. I feel like the solar plexus is just a little bit above it. It's that next one, and it brings
in the pancreas. Yeah, it's located. Yeah. It's the pancreas gland, right?
Yes, and so it activates when you using fire, actually, and so it plays a lot of parts with our body temperature and helps with food digestion.
Yeah.
And Teresa, the color addressed with the solar plexus.
It's yellow. Yellow. And that to me is the sun. That to me, that's the creativity. That's your powerhouse.
That's your powerhouse.
It really is. And it's important to protect that. It's important to have your boundaries around that because people will come to destroy that part of you. You have your energy vampires, etc. And so you have to be very mindful of that part of you. If you find, as a writer myself, I remember days where I began to write and I couldn't even write. I was like, this is horrible. And I'd crumple it up and throw it out, and then there were days when I just flew. I just flowed in a beautiful, writing, for 4 chapters, bah, bah, bah. And I was like, wow, this is interesting. What does this entail? And what I started to realize, and I was writing with mood at the time, was I wasn't fasting. So I started fasting. That was number 1. Allowing my spirit man to rise up so I could hear it and write. And I also started meditating more, breathing into my belly, allowing that to come up, because I always feel like when it comes to your solar plexus, um, it's the house that houses your energy. And
Yeah.
that energy is your joy, your motivation, your independence. Um, it's who you are. It's your house. It's what you stand on. So, to me, that solar plexus, when I was finding myself broken, I had no desire to do anything at all, at all. And people that have that, which is like unwillingness to move forward or procrastination and laziness, they end up watching television and more television and more television because they don't have any kind of energy left. That's why it's again important that you are mindful of the people that you allow around you, or words that are extended towards you, that you don't receive them and then internalize them, right? Because we know it's that other person's view of that moment has nothing to do with you, right?
Yeah.
But some of us empaths, we take it in and then we're a hot mess, you know?
And that was so good that you said, you talked about the sun, when you see the sun, when you think about the solar plexus, because it really is. And that's why I was saying that fire and body heat and all of that, we get that from the sun. So a suggestion would be to be out in the sun 20 to 30 minutes a day, even in the winter, because that sun is shining in the morning, and that would definitely boost our solar plexus and give us some of that energy that you're talking about that we need, because it's like right in the middle, and
That's
it's
right.
like it's right in the middle of us, and it'll definitely help balance us and give us a lot of strength that we need to be creative and think those things through.
So
Yeah.
we've spent a lot of time on the lower three chakras because most people are stuck there.
Yeah.
And so we're going to move fast through the other ones because again, you have to heal those lower energies before you can even get to the next one. So then what's the fourth chakra?
The heart chakra.
Okay? And then when the heart chakra is imbalanced, what does it
Ooh,
look like?
sadness.
A hot mess. But
Yes.
one thing I would say about the heart chakra is that it's the central. It's the central of, because the lower chakras are your spiritual, and then the other chakras going. I'm sorry, the higher chakras are your spiritual, and the bottoms are your grounding. And the heart is the one that just grabs them all together and brings them into this beautiful space of your heart, and the color is green, which
Yeah.
I don't understand. I wish it was red so for me to understand, but it's good that I don't understand, because life is not about understanding. Life is about stepping out of that.
Well,
But
if
but
you
that's
see
because
the
if it's in the
green,
middle, then it would be green, because the rainbow is Roy G. Roy G. Biv. So that G is green. So
but the other thing too is look at what God provides in nature. Everything is
yeah,
green.
Yes, yes,
yeah. So
Green
that's the
yes,
heart of
flourishes,
it.
and right. I mean, come on.
And
All
so
the
abundance,
trees are green is it.
yeah, because
yes,
abundance is green. So you're gonna have the
Abundance is green. It's so abundance they had to make
yes.
money green. Come on.
yeah. So abundance is empathy, the compassion, the
Love it.
love.
Yeah.
All of that
Yes,
applies with the heart chakra,
yes.
and it. That's and see, a lot of people think about the heart chakra and and they think about loving someone else, but you need to love yourself first,
Yeah.
and that
Yes.
and have that love for yourself before you're able to go out. And so it's not balanced when you can't even really love yourself. When it is balanced, it allows people to be who you are. You'll understand, and instead of attempting to live up to like the external expectations that people put on us.
Okay,
Yes.
let's go to the next one, the throat chakra.
Oh,
Okay, what's the throat
Yes.
chakra? Yes, because that throat chakra, when I remember a lot of the coaches was like, I have a sore throat. It's like you're swallowing anger.
yes.
You have to speak your truth.
I have had clients whose throat chakra was so closed that nothing was. So this was all closed, definitely. And then it was so close and they were so angry. I felt like it was just a weight down here. And so it was basically imbalancing everything else. And it's just like I could just see blackness here. And I'm like, you have to open that up. That's where your wisdom is. That's where your discernment is. That's where you're able to communicate clearly. And it was so close because of the anger and fear of speaking about what was going on. It's like her head was almost gonna fall off, and it was nothing else. It was like pain just for me even to begin to work with her. I'm like,
and that's the thyroid gland. It regulates
yes.
the body temperature and metabolism.
Yeah.
I
So
was gonna
you
say,
get
it's like I could feel her heat.
Yeah.
Like you, and it's like, you know how you see the cartoon and the smoke is coming out of the head.
Yes.
Yes,
That's what I realized and saw.
that's why it's important to journal. That's when it's
Mm.
important to journal, because many people hold their truth in,
Yeah.
afraid of what would happen if I say that to that person. What would happen if I say that to my husband or to my lover? What would happen? So let me just hold it in, and before you know it, that's disease. You know, Louise.
And you're destroying yourself, afraid of destroying someone else.
Yes.
That's why a lot of times we suggest to people, write a letter. And
Yeah.
give it to them or not, you're getting it out
Yes.
of you. Yeah.
I always tell my clients, depending on what it is, like if it's the full moon or new moon and things like that, I tell them, like, sometimes, so sometimes I tell them to either burn it or I'll have them tear it.
Flush it down the toilet.
Tear it and flush it. But I know that, and then I'll tell them, like, when I notice, like, even when I'm online, because I could feel people so much, I tell them, come on, let's do this. Let's do some neck rolls. Let's do some, because the weights be so heavy here from the throat chakra being closed, and it's weight. So I'm like, come on, let's do some neck stretches. Let's do some neck rolling. Let's do some breathing. Get some chakra stones. Yoga is really, really good.
Because of the breath.
And then some mantras.
Yeah. And that color is light blue, which I love, because I look at the throat chakra as sky's the limit.
Oh,
able to express yourself. I know, right? That's God, really. That's a download I got when I was studying. God said, sky's the limit.
Wow.
When you're able to express yourself, or when you see something you like and you speak and the person says, sure, you can have that. Or when you're in a concert, you're trying to get that front row seat. Hey, let's go. Can we sit there? Sure, you can, because you asked for it, right?
Right.
You have not because you asked not.
That's right.
That's a really important color for me. I love that color.
Well, tonight is the Tahuti, on Thursday nights, and that color is blue, and it is about divine, right? Wisdom.
Yeah.
That's why I got my hair wrap out. I said, okay.
Yeah. I got my blue panties on. I got my blue.
Oh, TMI.
No. You have blue in your shirt, and your makeup and your eyeshadow looks blue, actually.
Okay, let's go on with the sixth chakra. I know, right? Let's go on to the third eye. We talked a little bit about it early on, but let's go ahead and really delve into it.
That's wisdom, insight, and your spiritual connection with God, man.
Wow.
And you can astral travel. You can do so much with the third eye. And I love when we do the Kundalini classes and things like that, and how we were taught that, like, in the fall, the men can start to do the retention and have it come out the third eye versus the ejaculation.
Because men should not ejaculate in the winter. Men should not ejaculate in the winter. One more time, men should not ejaculate in the winter.
I started talking about that in the fall.
Life force. That's right.
Yep. I started talking about that in the fall, and I was, explaining it, in layman's terms to them about maybe if it's, because it's not as much light outside, so it's not as much energy being given to you. It gets darker quicker. But some men, I guess they don't want to do it, but it is some men that actually getting into that practice.
Yeah.
And well, but the third eye is very powerful. It has,
Connected to the pituitary gland.
yes, and it has to be cleaned. Some
Yeah.
people think that, that if it's cloudy out, and I know like I was working on a client and I like was about to start, and I mean, I got the biggest pain and headache here. And I said, your third eye is very cloudy. And he's a Reiki master himself.
Mhm.
And I said, your third eye is you need some work, you need some healing, you need some strengthening. And I actually made I made a act what I call as activation, strengthening and healing and then strengthening. And so I did I made one for YouTube. So it was a 30-minute session, and it really, really did help, because if it gets cloudy, you're not going to be able to see, and you're not going to be able to hear from God and that wisdom and what he's giving you and the directions that he's giving you. And you're not going to be able to visualize. And without vision, there's no plans, because if you got the plan, and even if you have it written down, you got to visualize it and see it for it to come in full effect.
Right. In the pituitary gland, it actually produces hormones that governs the functions of the previous 5 glands.
Wow.
The pineal gland is linked to the third eye,
Mm-hmm.
the crown chakra. So if we don't nurture and support that third eye, and one of the easiest things to do is to close your eyes and roll your eyes up and see it right here. And that can start stimulating your connection. And it also supports your connection to your intuition.
Yes.
So, and then what color is that?
Indigo, baby. Blue. Gorgeous. My favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Love that
Dark
color.
blue.
Love that color.
Mm-hmm.
What is it? The lapizuli stone? The blue one?
Yeah.
Oh, unbelievable. Gorgeous,
Beautiful.
gorgeous color.
And then the crown chakra.
That's
That's God. That's God.
Well, that's opening to receive too.
That's when you're a baby. You come into the world, and they're like, be careful with that spot there. That's the baby spot. No, baby,
7
that's
eyes of Elohim.
God. God is still connected, just downloading into that beautiful spirit.
Downloading. That's why
and then they tell you put a hat on it. That's the first thing they do at the hospital. Put a hat on it. Not a good idea, but that's another story.
Yeah.
But it's a beautiful thing. I actually love the crown chakra, because at certain points in my life, I just feel like I stand when there's really a bright sun. I'll just stand there and just kind of see that divine, beautiful white light coming into my crown, and I just receive it, and then I allow it to come through, and I just feel it. And I have like just a moment doing that, and I invite anyone to do that, because that's what the sun is for. It's there to just bathe you in this beautiful light. It's a beautiful thing. So I think that's something that I would highly recommend if you really want to connect your chakras, that you stand under that sun and just allow that light to come into you. It's beautiful, beautiful.
And when the crown chakra is strengthening, it can help you let go of emotional blockages. It can really help. But I and walk that path of spiritual consciousness that you're doing. And so it helps bring completeness once you get up there. But it's so funny that it is definitely more up here. It's definitely more up there than just here in the crown.
Well, I like to have people too, and you guys have probably been in meditation sessions with me where we actually put our feet to the ground and pull in the energy of Mother Earth.
Yes.
And we pull it up to the heart, right? And then we pull the energy down from the universe, which is Father God.
Yeah.
And we pull that in, and we bring them all together at the heart chakra and allow that energy to flow back and forth through us. And that's why it's so important for us to make sure we're balanced in both our male and female energy, where we've forgiven our mothers and our fathers, or our female caregivers and our male caregivers. Because if we don't do that, it's hard for us to receive from the earth and from God.
And
Yeah, beautiful.
and I've been doing this lately, but a gratitude
Yeah.
practice.
Yeah.
Because when you show that you have gratitude for the things, I tell people there is 3 things that you can show gratitude for each day, and they do not have to be the same.
Yeah.
And you should be able to, when your tire blows, now you have gratitude that your car didn't crash. You have gratitude that you still making it home. You have gratitude that you have food that is warm. So you can't look at, and when you're doing that, you're constantly putting out gratitude. You putting out gratitude. So now God is saying, okay, let me repeat what she's doing and give her more. Let's
Yeah.
give her more peace. And that's what the crown chakra is really about. Peace flowing from head to toe, back up.
Open it to receive it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And
But
even though the Bible doesn't really speak about chakras and et cetera, and some Christians and Catholics, et cetera, that's why I don't really like talking about religion, because I don't, to me, what's most important is God, right? Because we're Christ-like. We are the little G's and he's the big G, and she and the universe. And you know, when you think about it, God spoke about meditation and fasting. So
Yep.
he's talking about the crown and the third eye, right?
Yep.
And in Proverbs, it talks about guard your heart.
Yes.
That's the heart chakra. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So the throat chakra, guard your words, what you say, because you will have to account for those words, right?
Yeah.
And it speaks about your talents and your gifts. That's your solar plexus.
That's right.
Yeah.
Creativity that God gave you, your gifts. That some of us have been holding back and just waiting for that moment to shine. And be fruitful and multiply.
Yeah.
What's that? The
Sacral chakra.
Right. And that you be rooted in God and
Yes.
grounded in his love, the root chakra. Hello.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And this is all God speaking to me, and I get chills as I'm studying this work for you ladies in the world tonight, because again, everything that I do, and I know you, and now you girls agree, everything that I do before the Lord. I'm always like an instrument, a vessel being used, not about me. I shut down all this egoic, whatever. Am I going to say something right? Am I going to be okay? And I just said, release that, let that go, because you're just a vessel being used. Like I'm being used in Reiki. I'm not a Reiki practitioner. I'm just a vessel being used for that person's transformation.
Wow.
So
I always talk about, Mahmoud had me do this a solitude day. And so when you want to also balance your crown chakra, you want to sit in quiet and solitude. And so it's like, I think that, with my birthday coming up, people I love my birthday. Okay. Everybody know I love my birthday. And so they keep saying, what are you doing for your birthday? And it's like, I have a hotel room for 2 days. And I'm like, no one's invited, because I want to be in solitude. I want to do the solitude again. And I think that's a great way to start my year, my new 47th year, just in solitude. And so, and it was making me think about, being quiet, helping with my crown chakra, because when you're quiet, then God is speaking, And so I just want to tell people that, that's something else that you could do when you want to build upon your chakras and your energy glands. That's why I try to, in my practice, I try to say energy glands as much as possible, because that is the Hindu word for, we don't want to, is that, I can't even think of the word, but
Hijack.
Hijack, yeah.
Well, I want you guys to know we are at the hour. We have yes.
It's past the hour.
Well, no, we're at the hour. So
Okay.
you guys have been extremely amazing. And the producer has been reminding me that we have reached our time. And I want you all to let people know how they can get in touch with you and anything coming up that they may engage with you with.
Well, I will say I have a website. It's my name, Teresa Lugo. It's without the H, teresalugo.com. And on that page, you can reach out to me if you want a consultation with me. I also have my packages if you'd like to do coaching one-on-one with me, or even if you just want to talk. I listen, my heart is always here for anyone that's going through anything that they just need to process. Don't ever be afraid to make a call to me, because I'm just an open vessel, and if I can direct you, I will. And we're here for each other, and I'm not perfect, and neither are you, and we're here to do the work together. None of us are perfect. Reiki, I do long distance Reiki, so you can call me for an hour. Reiki is just really moving your energy. I don't have to be over you. I am with you in spirit, which is kind of funny because I used to hear this about 20 years ago. Someone said, you'd be a great Reiki person. I was like, nah, I don't know about that. But no, you can do a long distance. All you have to do. I didn't believe in any of it. But now here I am being that. So I believe that if we all just receive the fact that we're all spirit, we're all spirit. This is gone. This flesh will be gone. We're all spirits, and we need to just be okay with not being okay and reach
Okay,
out.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your
All
website
right.
again is teresalugo.com.
TeresaLugo.com.
Is your book on that site, Teresa Homeless Mind?
My book is on that site also, and my book is also on Amazon. It's called Homeless Mind, and it's exactly what we're talking about: coming from just nothing and receiving everything after that.
Okay,
All
Mother
right.
Mecca.
And you can find me on Facebook as Mecca Mecca, Instagram and TikTok, as well as YouTube as Mother Mecca 115 LLC. My website is mothermecca115llc.com. And so I have my booking app up now, and my office is at 1010 165th Street in Hammond, Indiana. I do come out as well, and just like my beautiful soul, Teresa, I can do long distance Reiki as well. I do energy rubs because I do believe in skin to skin. I have an elderly care plan. So if you have elderly people, I want to send a shout out to my favorite client, Larry, because he turned 96 yesterday. He is off of hospice, he is off of oxygen, and he is standing up. And so I am so amazed that he has made so much progress. So please holla at your girl, as I
All
say,
right.
because I love you like no
Thank you
other.
guys. You guys were awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
And
Thank
we're
you.
going to finish up, and we'll see you all tomorrow night for our final session of Home as a Haven.
Thank you for listening to season 15 of Ignite Your Soul Connection Winter Solstice 2022 Home as a Haven. During this season, we invite you to take time to ground yourself in the goodness of your own soul. Silence, solitude, meditation, journaling, walks in nature are all wonderful ways to do this. And you will be glad that you did. See you next time. Thank you.
Very nice. Very nice, man. Thank you so much for doing this. Really, you should